The last thing he said to me was, "You didn't see me." And then he drove off, his Mustang coughing once, then growling like thunder as it disappeared down the road, the sun barely rising behind it. I didn't even catch his name. Just calloused hands, a stitched-up jacket, a busted ignition coil, and eyes that didn't blink enough. I didn't ask questions. I just fixed what was broken. That's what I do. Out here in the middle of nowhere, where nobody comes unless they're lost or hiding. 3 days passed. I figured he was long gone. Another ghost with engine trouble. Until the SUV pulled up. Blacked out windows, government plates. 2 men stepped out, boots too clean for this dust, and 1 woman. Army. Sergeant, maybe. She held up a photo. Grainy, but it was him. Same jaw, same scars. "Did he say anything to you?" I wiped my hands on my rag, heart starting to pound. "Not much." "Did he give you anything?" "A smile," I lied. She didn't laugh. No one did. Not when one of the soldiers looked around the shop like it was wired. Not when the other leaned in and whispered something into his comms. And especially not when she said, "We need to know exactly what happened in this garage before command gets involved." I should have told them the truth. I should have said I didn't know who he was. But the truth was, I wasn't sure I believed it either. My name's Wren. No last name on the sign outside the garage. No business card. Just auto repair stenciled in chipped red across the wall. It used to be my dad's place. Now it's mine. Sort of. People don't come here unless they're desperate. There's a gas station 7 miles west, a real garage in town 22 miles north, and cell signal is a prayer on a good day. So when someone shows up, it's never casual. And I've learned not to ask questions. Not about why they're here. Not about who they are. Not even about the blood sometimes staining the steering wheel. I don't tell my story either. Not unless an engine's running and no one's listening. I was 17 when my father died. Heart attack, quick, ugly. The last thing he told me was, "Don't let anyone tell you you're just the girl with a wrench." I buried him behind the shop. No stone, just memories and gravel. And I kept the garage running. Not because I wanted to. Because it was the only thing left that felt like home. For years, I fixed the cars no one else would touch. The ones missing plates. The ones where the driver never gave a name. The ones that drove in silent, stayed overnight, and left at dawn. I didn't ask. They didn't offer. That's how it worked. That's how I liked it. Until him. I knew from the way he pulled in that something was different. Not just the car, though it was a beast. A '69 Mustang, cherry black. Engine clattering like it was running on memory and spite. But it was the way he sat behind the wheel. Straight. Silent. Like the weight of something bigger than the car itself was pressing on him. He barely spoke. Told me the engine was skipping and he couldn't risk a breakdown. Didn't say where he was going. Didn't say where he'd been. He watched me work, said thank you, paid in cash, left no name. Just that line. "You didn't see me." And now? The army was on my porch holding a photo of the man I hadn't seen smile once. And all I could think was, why does my name matter now? Why does this garage, this nothing place, matter now? Because I didn't know who I'd helped. But clearly, someone else did. I couldn't sleep that night. The sound of that Mustang was still echoing in my skull. The deep-throated growl, the way it peeled out like it was escaping something bigger than the road. And now I couldn't stop wondering what. The army had left, but not quietly. They took pictures, scanned the garage, left behind the taste of static in the air, like a storm no one could explain. They didn't say much after that. Just one last question from the woman with the sergeant stripes. "If he contacts you again, you call us. Immediately." She handed me a card, unmarked, no name, just a number. I stood there long after the SUV disappeared into the horizon. Card in hand, mind in chaos. Because something wasn't right. Not just the visit, not just their silence. him. He hadn't flinched when I pulled out the engine coil, hadn't blinked when I told him the timing was off by 6 degrees. He didn't act like someone worried about his car, he acted like someone worried about time. And now I was the one left waiting. I went back to the Mustang in my memory, replayed every second. The way his hands shook slightly when he passed me the tools, the tiny scar near his collarbone, just barely visible when his jacket shifted. The silence, not stiff, heavy, like someone trained not to speak. I should have asked more. But that's the thing about people like me. We learn not to ask. We survive by not knowing, until knowing becomes unavoidable. So I sat on the steps of the garage that night, card in one hand, a wrench in the other. The sky was black. The stars didn't blink, and all I could think was, who the hell did I just help disappear? Because if the army wanted answers, maybe that meant he had some I never should have touched. I found it the next morning, tucked beneath a folded tarp near the workbench, a notebook, small, black, no label. It definitely wasn't mine. And I knew, instantly, it had to be his. I should have handed it over, called the number on that army card, walked away, but I didn't. Because when someone leaves something in your space, your world, they leave a choice behind too. I opened it. No names, no addresses, just pages of coded notes, strange symbols, coordinates, and something that looked like engine specs, but modified, military grade. The deeper I read, the colder I got, because this wasn't just a notebook. It was a record, and it was clear now. He hadn't just been hiding. He'd been moving, watching, planning something, and I had fixed his escape vehicle. I stepped back from the bench and nearly tripped over the coil he'd helped me install, and it hit me. He hadn't just come to my garage for repairs, he'd come for me. Because I didn't ask questions. Because no one watches this place. Because I was invisible, and therefore useful. But maybe it wasn't just about convenience. Maybe it was about trust. There was one more thing inside the notebook. A photo. Folded 4 times, tucked between pages. It was old, blurry. But I recognized the man standing in the corner, half in shadow, face hard to make out. Him. And beside him, someone in uniform, not military, government. And circled in pen, "They're coming." I closed the notebook slowly. My hands were shaking, but not from fear. From the realization that I wasn't just part of something. I was holding a piece of it now. And maybe I was the only one who could finish what he started. They returned 3 days later. No warning, no headlights, just boots and gravel. I heard the door open before I saw them. 4 of them this time. 2 I recognized, 2 I didn't. All of them armed, none of them smiling. The woman from last time, the one with the tablet and the cold voice, stepped forward. "Miss Wren," she said flatly, "we have reason to believe you've been withholding information." I said nothing. "We have satellite data showing him at your garage for more than 4 hours. We know he paid in cash. We know he disappeared shortly after leaving here. And we know he left something behind." I blinked, slow, calm. Define something. She didn't like that. Not because it was rude, but because it was controlled. She was expecting fear. She got steel. "Where is it?" she asked. "Where's what?" "The notebook." So, they knew. But they didn't know everything. Because I didn't give it to them. Not yet. "I found it by accident," I said. "Didn't even know it was his." She stepped closer. "You're in possession of sensitive federal intelligence. That's a felony." I didn't flinch. "So is breaking into private property." The youngest soldier behind her shifted his weight, the way nervous people do when the rules feel blurry. The sergeant saw it too. She clenched her jaw. "This isn't about threats. It's about trust." "No," I said. "It's about control. You want something I didn't ask for. Something I didn't even want. And now that I have it, you're scared I might matter." That did it. Her face didn't change. But the energy shifted, because I wasn't just a mechanic anymore. I was a variable. I reached beneath the workbench and slid the notebook onto the table, closed, unmarked, waiting. "You can take it," I said. "But first, you tell me why the hell a man like that came here and called me safe." She stared at me, and then, for the first time, she told me the truth. He was a defector. High clearance. Intelligence branch. Went dark 4 months ago after a mission that never made it into the records. We were told he was a traitor, but now we're not so sure. "Why?" She hesitated. "Because he didn't run with weapons or files. He ran with names, protected names. And now he's disappeared without taking any of them with him. So you think he left them with me? We think he left you with something more dangerous." "Like what?" "Proof that he wasn't the villain." Silence again, but this time I wasn't afraid of it, because the truth was bigger than them, and now it lived in me. They left without saying thank you. Took the notebook, took their silence, left tire marks in the gravel and more questions than answers. But I didn't need them to explain. I already knew what I'd been given. Not intel, not danger. Purpose. For years I thought I was just the girl with the wrench, fixing other people's broken things, staying out of their stories, surviving at the edge of the map. But now I know better. He didn't leave that notebook here by accident. He left it because he knew I wouldn't run. He saw something in me I hadn't allowed myself to see. Not fearlessness, but loyalty. Not strength, but silence with a spine. I never saw him again. No letter, no code word, no one day I'll explain visit. But sometimes at night, when the wind rattles the tin roof and the stars press close, I think I hear that Mustang again. And for a second I wonder if he ever drove past, just to be sure I was okay. I don't keep the Army's card anymore. Burned it in the fire pit behind the shop, watched it curl and vanish, because I didn't want the kind of safety they were offering. I didn't want to disappear. I wanted to exist, exactly where he found me, with grease on my fingers, fire in my chest, and no one telling me who I had to be. If someone asked me today what really happened in that garage, I'd say, a car was fixed, a man disappeared, and a girl stopped waiting to be found. And if he ever comes back, he won't need to ask if I kept the secret. He'll know, because this time, I'm the one who doesn't blink.